The world has entered a new era of the climate change crisis. It's much more dangerous than earlier. The impact of climate change is causing huge loss and damage. And the hardest hit are the world's poorest countries, those communities that have contributed least to the climate crisis. According to a new report by Oxfam titled Footing the Bill, the funding needed by the UN climate disaster appeals is now 8 times higher than what it was 20 years ago. But only about half of it is being met by rich countries. Over the past 5 years, nearly half of the appeal requirements have not been met. Funding for emergency humanitarian response remains painfully insufficient. Last year was the third costliest on record for extreme weather events, third costliest. Droughts, floods and wildfires have been dominating global headlines. The total economic cost for these disasters is estimated at $329 billion, nearly double the total aid given by donor countries. Over the last 5 years, poor countries appealed for $63 to $75 billion in emergency humanitarian aid, but received a little over half the needed amount. With a worsening climate crisis, there is rising pressure on the humanitarian system, which is not being able to respond very well. The percentage of official development assistance, which is used for climate spending, has barely changed in the last decade. Severe climate-related droughts continue to spread in Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia, while South Sudan suffers a 5th year of extreme flooding. Even as the assistance required by catastrophe-hit countries has been soaring, in 2021, flooding in Europe caused losses over $45 billion, and in 2017, Hurricane Maria caused damage equivalent to 226% of Dominica's GDP. Apart from economic loss, climate change is also responsible for the loss of life, cultural identity, indigenous and local knowledge, human health, biodiversity and territory. And as the planet continues to heat up, the costs of the impact of climate change will continue to skyrocket. Temperature increases are on track for 2.4 degrees Celsius, probably more. Even ambitious climate action will not save us from the consequences of climate change anymore if we fail to cut down on emissions. And the consequences may be too difficult to bear. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.